Okay, I found an opportunity to make a video and show you guys something and teach you guys something. This is going to be really helpful for those of you that want to do orchard trees. Have you thought about what kind of orchard trees you want to do? What could you do to get free food and also build your growing techniques with little effort? And one of the first things that comes to mind is that you could make orchard apple trees. And we've had fruit trees in our backyard for probably 30 years. And my father grew up on a fruit farm. And I thought that this would be a good opportunity. I could put up some things that would help people that want to grow this kind of stuff. Okay, the first thing that comes to mind is apple trees. Now, and this is a really good example. When you place your apple trees, what should you do? What do you look for? You're looking for well-watered, open ground that is free of obstruction. Okay, it doesn't need to have the best water, um, and to a certain extent, if you put down ground cover and other plants, you're creating better groundwater also because more water gets into the ground instead of gets evaporated, and water evaporating isn't a good thing. People think the water goes straight down. It doesn't always. You lose a lot to evaporation. So um, if you keep the ground around you covered with plants, it's actually beneficial, and you can look for plants that are that will survive drought better and that will work better with your environment. This is a southwest climate. Water is always a problem for us. It's also a problem for basically anywhere in Nevada, Southern California, Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas. Well, you get the picture. Everywhere you go, you're trying to look for places, where you can grow stuff. And the advantage is that land is a little cheaper in some of the less developed Southwest states, but you got water issues. So anyway, this is about apple trees. Now this apple tree, it survived for quite a long time. And as you can see, it's putting out some nice little green apples. And this is a really good example of where not to put an apple tree. And that's because this apple tree is surrounded on all three sides by concrete. And what that means is that it can hardly get any water. It really struggles for it because the three sides of concrete around it are, like deck and garage lane, driveway concrete basically. So on 3 out of 4 sides, that water is being blocked. Okay, and that means you ain't got any groundwater going through. And the only reason this tree does very well is because we water it. Now, if you get some orchard trees and some fruit trees that aren't doing very well, I want to encourage you to test out improving their water and their fertility before you get rid of them. And the reason is, if you see the apples on this tree, they look pretty nice, but we thought this was a crab apple tree originally. Nobody wants crab apples. It wasn't actually a crab apple. It's just that when it couldn't get water, the apples would stay really small and they couldn't grow because there wasn't any water. Okay, so when you have a plant, before you decide if it's time to get rid of it, or if it's having problems, try adjusting your water schedule. You don't need to have a lot of water, you just spread out the water through other parts of the day. And one of the things you want to look out for is the period between 12 o'clock and 4 o'clock. That's when your temperatures are the worst. You want to see what it feels like and what it looks like with the heat around those times, because that's when things look differently. What happens is people who work 9 to 5, they'll come home and it looks like, everything's fine, because by the time you're home, it's what, 6 o'clock, and there's no heat out, so you see the temperatures and the environment differently if you're only gardening or working your farm or whatever part-time. Because if you're doing it part-time with a full-time job or other things going on, that means you're usually checking it out when it's really early, when there's no heat, or later in the day when the heat's gone. You really want to know what the temperature and the environment around your plants looks like in the time period between uh, 12 and 4 p.m. And this holds true no matter where you are in the world. This can help you to improve your techniques, get more fruit, use less resources, and be more efficient. And that's all I have to say for this. Please like and subscribe.